Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Toth, and I'm not an alcoholic, but someone that I love is, and that's my brother Jess. He's the guy on stage. Looks like maybe we both go to the same bar. Can we get everybody say hello to Jess? Everybody give Jess a hello. Jess is the baby of our family, a family of 4 boys. And when I think about Jess, I don't always see him as a man. I still picture him as this 8-year-old kid. He was like this big. He was wearing a Charles Barkley jersey. That's how far back we're going. And a Phoenix Sun hat, and he had this signature skill. He could make a 3-point shot from anywhere. Not going to ask him to do it tonight. But Jess was the baby of the family, and that means a couple things. How many babies of the family here? We got some? Okay. They fly under the radar. Okay? 1. 2, people are always finishing your sentences for you. So I can't wait to hear what he has to say, because I honestly am not sure I've ever heard him say a complete sentence in his life. Things got hard for our family, as they are for every family. Our mom died when Jess was 10. I was older at the time. I had better coping skills. I was 21 years old. Jess was 10. Our dad died when Jess was 18. I was older then. I was grown up. He wasn't. And I think it's a mistake to say that we can say, well, what was the one thing that caused somebody to become an addict? Is it really just one thing? Or is it every single thing that's happened to you your entire life? I don't know the answer to that, but I know this. They say that addiction takes and demands more and more of you. Takes more and more, leaves you with less and less, until it's taken everything and it's left you with nothing. And that's what happened to Jess. The drinking took and took and took, until he couldn't fly under the radar screen anymore, until people started to notice, until it impacted his job, his friendships, his relationships. And we were scared to death. And we didn't know what to do. We had never been through the process. And I was with Jess the day that he made the decision that he wanted to get help. And he got that help from many people in this room. First, he got it from Miramont. Once, got out of Miramont, we thought we had nipped this thing. It was almost too easy, and it was. Because I don't think Jess was respecting the addiction. Several months later, we were back at Miramont. They opened up the door and they said, welcome back. That was 16 months ago. Jess went directly from Miramont to MVP. He has been sober for 16 months. In sober people time, 16 months doesn't sound like a lot. But in a process where you talk about recovery being what, 1 day at a time? 480 days without a drink. But he couldn't do it alone. He wouldn't be here if he had tried to do it alone. He tried to do it alone and it didn't work. He did it with the help of people from Miramont. And when he got out, he said to me, I said, what, you coming home to your apartment? He said, I'm not going home. I'm going to a recovery house. It's called MVP. I'm going to be living in a house in Chester with a bunch of people who are building community around recovery. I said, well, what's that going to be like? And he said, well, we're going to have the right to get involved in each other's lives. We're going to have the right to hold each other accountable. We're going to live and work in community with the idea that we're not supposed to carry, I'm a Christian, I'm from the Christian tradition, they say we don't carry our crosses alone. Whether that's your faith tradition or not, these guys were never meant to carry the burden of their addiction alone. And that's what I'm seeing from MVP. And, the truth is, you turn on the news every day and we do hear about people that are losing. You're absolutely right. And there's a lot of people that are losing. But I thank God that my brother's a winner. You making the 3-pointer in this one, Jess. We love you. We are incredibly proud of you. And please put your hands together for my brother.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Jess. I'm an alcoholic. So yeah, as he mentioned, I'm the youngest of four. My brother Kevin was an obvious choice for tonight for obvious reasons. So yeah, I mean, besides me being nervous, I think the hardest thing for me to do tonight is to express how awesome the past 16 months of my life have been in 7 minutes. I look around the room, so many memories with everybody in here. Like, this whole process of recovery, like you look at the whole idea of community and all that stuff, and when I really break it down, it's all those little moments that like meant a little to me at the time, and it built into so much more than that. Once I reached that point, I was able to reflect back and see that things started to get better. So yeah, being the youngest of four, I guess my way of internalizing it, I always had 3 brothers that loved me, and parents like always kind of suggesting what the right thing to do should be. And I guess I had a hard time thinking for myself. And as I got a little older, I started developing somewhat of a sense of independence. Maybe I got a little stubborn. I started reaching, for external solutions to an internal problem. Like I was cutting school, I started doing graffiti. Like I look back at a lot of that stuff, and those characteristics carried into almost every aspect of my life. And it wasn't until I came to MVP where I had people hold me accountable and help me realize that. It's a really difficult thing to admit in a room this big with my family here, but through my addiction, I reached this inevitable point of despair where I realized that the only reason I was breathing is because I didn't have enough courage to end it, and that's a very tough pill to swallow. But through that desperation, realizing that my way just wholeheartedly didn't work. It doesn't make me a bad person in any way. My way of doing things didn't work. The way I internalized everything through fear, through self-pity, through self-delusion. I'm very self-delusional. That's when I decided to go to MVP, and as my brother mentioned, I had a good job with stability. I had 401k, and I had my own little apartment. But I realized that, leaving treatment the second time, I was absolutely terrified. And I started to think about why. And, I knew that I could not trust what my next move was going to be on my own. And, when my counselor recommended MVP, I was terrified. But I knew that it was better than where I was going to end up if I didn't make a decision then and there. And if my counselor told me then that it was the best decision I would have ever made for myself at that time, I wouldn't have believed her. But it's just really amazing. There's things that are promised to us when we come into MVP, and a lot of that stuff is so attractive when you're broken. But hearing things, you're going to have lifelong friends. I kept hearing this theme that through every fear that we walk through, there's faith on the other end, and I needed to believe in that stuff. I don't know if I believed it in myself yet, but it was just enough for me to hold on, to do what the guys in front of me were showing me. And, it's really been amazing. I keep it in today, but, I'm working on planning for tomorrow in the midst of that, but it's a tremendous opportunity, Another thing I heard a lot, life beyond your wildest dreams. As my brother Kevin mentioned, playing basketball, all things considered, I'm 5'6", I'm never going to play. And I still honestly don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but one thing I can say from the bottom of my heart is that through this process up until today, I've been receiving internal rewards that have far exceeded the limits to my own imagination. And I'm extremely grateful today, and that's all I got.